From the beginning of time, humanity has looked up to the stars and wondered if we're really alone in the universe. It's a question that has captivated the imaginations of people for centuries, and it is one that has been in the center of countless scientific studies and conspiracy theories up until now. Today, we might just have proof that extraterrestrial life exists. And as crazy as it sounds, the man in the middle of it is none other than the controversial former president, Donald Trump. The former Israeli space security chief Haim Eshed recently dropped a bombshell revelation. He made claims that extraterrestrials not only exist, they have also been in contact with Earth for years. In one of his more bizarre claims, the life forms that come into contact with Earth organize themselves as galactic federations that have been waiting for humanity to reach a certain level of civilization before revealing their existence to us. Unsurprisingly, he also claimed that President Trump was fully aware of their existence and chose to keep quiet about it. If this is true, it isn't surprising because the US government has had a long history of keeping state secrets from its citizens and the world. So, despite the fact that there have been widespread interest in UFOs and extraterrestrial life since the mid-20th century, the US presidency said nothing. And Trump, who isn't popular for keeping quiet on any issue, remained unusually silent on the matter throughout his presidency. But why? Why the silence? What could have been so frightening or so important that Donald Trump would keep mute on the issue? Well, according to Eshed, the former president actually had plans to reveal the information to the public. It's unclear if he had a specific time he intended for the news to be announced, especially since he kept quiet throughout his first term as president. Some suspect he would have announced it during his second term if that had ever happened. Now, there's a problem with Eshed's claims. The man did not provide any evidence to support his claims, leaving many skeptical about the authenticity of his statements. However, in an interview, he revealed that he came forward with the hopes that his news would be accepted as true, despite the potential for criticism and disbelief. He also claimed that an agreement that had been reached between the US government and the aliens to do experiments on Earth, and there was a secret underground base on Mars with American and alien representatives. Now, whether or not these claims are true or not is up for debate, but one thing is certain, they're creating quite a buzz. While some have been speculating about what this could mean for humanity and our future, others have called it out as a conspiracy nonsense. But should we ignore the claims of a respected member of the space community from one of the most advanced first world countries on the planet? But it gets even crazier because the White House, Department of Defense, and Israeli officials have all remained silent on the matter. The lack of a response has caused people to wonder about the truth behind these claims. Are they hiding something from the public? Could it be that we have already made contact with extraterrestrial life? Is that why they have maintained silence? If it were true, it would raise more questions than answers. Already, there has been a renewed sense in the possibility of alien life and the implications of contact with other civilizations. While some are excited about the prospect of learning more about the Galactic Federation and potential cooperation with advanced alien species, others have expressed concern about the possible dangers of what this revelation of that kind of information would mean to the general public. Not everyone would receive the news of alien life well. Hollywood sci-fi movies have been mongering the gospel of extinction in the face of alien life. So you can expect that there would be mass panic, which could result in looting, terrorism, and the loss of lives and property. It's no secret that many experts in the field of astronomy and astrobiology have long believed that the possibility of extraterrestrial life is not only possible, but highly probable given the vastness of the universe. But what about the scientific community? What do they think? And how have they responded to the entire situation? Well, the news has sparked a renewed interest in the search for extraterrestrial life, with many experts calling for increased funding for space exploration and SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence programs. Now, you're probably wondering if SETI really means what it says it is. The answer is yes. As ridiculous as it might sound, the US has been working hard to detect signs of intelligent life beyond Earth. Since the mid-20th century, they've invested billions in resources and personnel towards the goal. One of the most prominent methods they have used has been through the analysis of radio signals. However, it hasn't led to anything concrete. Now, this doesn't mean that SETI hasn't made any notable achievements. They've contributed immensely to the advancement of new technology that has made it possible to search for signs of intelligent life in the universe. From sophisticated telescopes to state-of-the-art signal detector systems, SETI has the ability to detect the faintest signals from deep space. They have also made significant contributions to our understanding of the universe and the conditions necessary for life to exist. For example, by studying exoplanets, SETI scientists have identified several potentially habitable worlds. And they've even developed new methods for analyzing data collected from space using advanced algorithms and machine learning techniques. These techniques allow them to sift through vast amounts of data in search of patterns and anomalies that could indicate the presence of extraterrestrial life. And that's why they have been heavily involved in scrutinizing the claims that Eshed made. Before anyone in the scientific community will consider the claims Eshed made as true, they need to be sure that any evidence of extraterrestrial life is thoroughly examined to confirm its validity. But SETI are not the only members of this alien inquiry. Back in 1969, and after the rapid emergence of new space technology and scientific advancement at the time, the United Nations established a committee called COPUOS, the Committee on the Peaceful Uses of Outer Space. Along with a lot of other space-related duties, the organization was tasked with tending to matters relating to UFOs. Since their creation, they have organized several conferences and meetings discussing the scientific, legal, and political implications of UFO sightings. All these discussions have led to some pretty interesting revelations. In December 2017, the New York Times published an article that revealed the existence of a secretive Pentagon program called the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, or AATIP for short. This program was tasked with investigating UFO sightings, and it reportedly received $22 million in funding from the Pentagon's budget. The AATIP program was active from 2007 to 2012, and although it was officially shut down, some former officials have claimed that it continued to operate in some capacity. And get this, the program reportedly collaborated with other countries like Canada and the United Kingdom to investigate UFO sightings. Fast forward to 2020, and the United States Department of Defense officially released several videos of UFO sightings that had previously been leaked to the public. These videos were initially classified by the Navy and released by a private organization, but their authenticity was later confirmed by the Pentagon. Overall, while there is no evidence to suggest that international bodies work directly with Donald Trump regarding extraterrestrial life and UFO sightings, there have been several documented instances of international cooperation in UFO research and investigation. On the other hand, the recent statement by former President Donald Trump about the existence of aliens and their impending arrival has left everyone asking, what's next? What is the government doing to investigate these claims, and how will they protect us if aliens do indeed exist? The need for transparency and accountability in government investigations related to extraterrestrial life and UFO sightings has become a hot topic, and rightfully so. Because the potential impact of aliens on human society is something that we should all be thinking about. One of the biggest concerns is that aliens might have technologies that are far beyond human capabilities. And we are not even talking about hostile encounters. We are talking about the economic implications. Imagine aliens arriving on Earth with advanced energy technology. It could have a significant impact on the buying and selling of energy resources, like oil and natural gas, between different countries, and interactions between different countries, especially in terms of their political and economic power. But there are also concerns that contact with aliens could pose a threat to national security. What if they have hostile intentions? Or what if they carry diseases that are harmful to humans? This could potentially lead to conflict that could lead to the end of humanity. In light of these concerns, it's likely that government institutions will reevaluate their stance on extraterrestrial life and UFO sightings. They may increase their efforts to investigate such claims and take steps to prepare for any potential contact with aliens. As we consider the possibility of contact with extraterrestrial life, it's crucial to reflect on the ethical implications that come with it. While it may be exciting to imagine the discovery of alien civilizations, we must be mindful of how our actions could impact them. For instance, if we were to make contact with aliens who are less advanced than us, we would need to consider the potential consequences of sharing our technology and knowledge with them. Similarly, if we encounter an alien civilization that is more advanced than us, we would need to approach them with caution to avoid being seen as a threat. Developing guidelines for how to approach and interact with alien civilizations is essential to ensure that we act responsibly and with respect toward other forms of life in the universe. At the same time, the possibility of the US government hiding the existence of aliens from the public raises serious questions about trust and accountability. As a democracy, it's crucial that our government is transparent and open with its citizens about matters of national and international significance. Hiding the existence of extraterrestrial life from the public for years would be a significant breach of trust, and it would raise questions about the motives and actions of those in power. Given the potential impact of discovering the existence of extraterrestrial life, it is crucial for the government to be honest and forthcoming about any knowledge it may have. Preparing ourselves for such an event could be one of the most significant steps we take as a society. It would require us to consider the scientific, social, and philosophical implications of such a discovery, and to work together to ensure that we are equipped to handle what would be a truly significant event in all of human history. Moreover, the notion that the US government has been in contact with extraterrestrial beings raises profound questions about our place in the universe. If true, this would be one of the most significant discoveries in human history. It would not only change our perspective of the cosmos, but it would also have far-reaching effects on our culture, our science, philosophy, and theology. Ultimately, it would inspire us to reflect on what it means to be human and our place in the universe. No matter what the truth may be, it's a testament to the incredible advances we have made and the endless possibilities that lie ahead.
This isn't a world war. This is the end of the world. I don't call it World War III. I call it the end of the world. Joe Biden has brought us to the brink of World War III. We're at the brink of World War III, just in case anybody doesn't know it. Now, North Korea's reckless pursuit of nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles threatens the entire world with unthinkable loss of human life. It is an outrage that some nations would not only trade with such a regime, but would arm, supply, and financially support a country that imperils the world with nuclear conflict. No nation on earth has an interest in seeing this band of criminals arm itself with nuclear weapons and missiles. The United States has great strength and patience, but if it is forced to defend itself or its allies, we will have no choice but to totally destroy North Korea. The United States is ready, willing, and able, but hopefully this will not be necessary. That's what the United Nations is all about. That's what the United Nations is for. Let's see how they do. So I think more than anything else, and it was a very personal relationship, and it was sort of a weird situation. The tougher they were, the better I got along with them. And that's probably a good thing, because it was the tough ones that had the big, powerful countries, the ones that can do destruction. World War III has never been closer than it is right now. We need to clean house of all of the warmongers and America last globalists and the deep state, the Pentagon, the State Department, and the national security industrial complex. But we had really rough rhetoric, and I will tell you, I had a lot of people saying, this is getting really dangerous. But one day they called, they said, we want to meet. Then I had a meeting with them, I had 2 meetings with them, I got along great. We would have had that whole situation straightened out shortly after the beginning of my second term, would have been straightened out. And now it's the opposite. Now he's shooting missiles all over the place, and he can't stand Biden. He hates him. He says very bad things about him, by the way, very bad. But he doesn't want anything to do with him. He wanted nothing to do with Obama either. They tried to have meetings. He didn't want to meet. With me, he wanted to meet. And we got along great. I know a lot about him. I know, like, a lot about him. I don't want to say everything. I don't know everything about you, and I know you well, right? Not everything. I probably don't want to know everything. But I know a lot about him. And I got along with him great. We had no danger, zero danger. I'm telling you, not 10 cents did we get from China. I got hundreds of billions of dollars. And I gave 28 billion of it to the farmers because they were really taken advantage of and hurt by China. and many other things. I mean, just USMCA, that's Mexico, Canada, got rid of NAFTA, one of the worst, probably the worst trade deal ever made. It was so one-sided. Now Canada and Mexico want to renegotiate the deal because it's a great deal. We shouldn't do it, by the way, because, you know, for many years they took advantage of us, and now we have a very good deal. I call it a fair deal, but they want to renegotiate it, meaning they're not happy. And nobody thought that was possible. But I would say it was peace through strength. I would say that they viewed us as a strong country. I think they probably didn't really figure me out because, you know, they were concerned about things. Zero chance that Putin would have gone into Ukraine. I used to talk about it. But he knew not to go in, and he wouldn't have gone in. They don't respect our country anymore. They don't respect our leadership anymore. I had Iran in a position where they would have made a deal within 1 week after the election. Instead, they've become very rich. You know, I told China, if you buy oil from Iran, they were buying massive amounts. If you buy oil, you're not going to do any business with the United States. And they were ripping us off for $507 billion. We had a trade deficit with China, $507 billion. I said, you buy any oil at all from Iran. And I said that to numerous other countries also. And Iran was coming to the table. They were dying to make a deal. And what I did, getting us out of that horrible Iran nuclear deal, that was one of the best things I did for Israel. Between Golan Heights and between the embassy and Jerusalem, the capital, everything I did for Israel, the best thing I did was getting them out of that horrible Iran nuclear deal. The problem is the new administration blew it. They blew it, and they allowed Iran to have a nuclear weapon. We have people that truly don't know what they're doing. This is the most dangerous time in the history of our country.
And other parts of the world, and now we're teetering on the brink of World War III. And a lot of people don't see it, but I see it, and I've been right about a lot of things. They all say Trump's been right about everything. None of this excuses in any way the outrageous and horrible invasion of Ukraine 1 year ago, which would have never happened if I was your president, not even a little chance. But it does mean that here in America, we need to get rid of the corrupt globalist establishment that has botched every major foreign policy decision for decades. And that includes President Biden, whose own people said he's never made a good decision when it comes to looking at other countries and looking at wars. We have to replace them with people who support American interests. Over our 4 years in the White House, we made incredible progress in putting the America Last contingent aside and bringing the world to peace. And now we're going to complete the mission. The State Department, Pentagon, and national security establishment will be a very different place by the end of my administration. In fact, just into my administration, it'll be a very different place, and it'll get things done, just like I did 4 years ago. We never had it so good. We'll also stop the lobbyists and the big defense contractors from going in and pushing our senior military and national security officials toward conflict, only to reward them when they retire with lucrative jobs, getting paid millions and millions of dollars. There was a reason we had no conflict. There was a reason we didn't get into wars, because other countries respected us. I entirely built, all right from the beginning, rebuilt our military. It's a big reason for that. They didn't want to mess around with the United States, and now they're laughing at us. We could end the Ukraine conflict in 24 hours with the right leadership. At the end of my next 4 years, the warmongers and frauds and failures of the senior ranks of our government will all be gone, and we will have a new group of competent national security officials who believe in defending America's vital interests above all else.
Until COVID came in, I got along great with President Xi. I got along great with President Putin. Putin never would have gone into Ukraine if it weren't for the incompetence of this administration, this current administration. Putin was not going in. It was never mentioned. And I knew him very well. I got along with him well, and Xi well, and Kim Jong-un, I got along with him well. If Obama were president for a little bit longer, you would have had a nuclear war with North Korea, in my opinion, okay? I think in his opinion, too. He thought it was the most dangerous thing. I got along great with Kim Jong-un. So if I were president, and I say this, I will end that war in one day. It'll take 24 hours. I know Zelensky well. I know Putin well. I would get that ended in a period of 24.
You can break that deal.
100%. It would be easy. That deal would be easy. A lot of it has to do with the money. A lot of it has to do with the military, that we're giving. But I would get that deal done within 24 hours. That war has to be stopped. That war is a disaster. Yeah. And I'm talking more than money. I'm talking about the human life. It's far greater than anyone thinks.
There's a lot of people being killed.
You don't knock down a whole city and say 2 people got hurt. Right. Okay? Thousands of people are being killed in these cities that are being knocked down.
Yeah.
They're in those big apartment houses, and they are big buildings. I'm a very good real estate guy. I know what these are massive buildings. I'm actually surprised to see. And when you see those buildings just collapsing, thousands of people are being killed that nobody's talking about. That war has to stop.
Through weakness and incompetence, Joe Biden has brought us to the brink of World War III. We're at the brink of World War III, just in case anybody doesn't know it. As president, I will bring back peace through strength. Peace through strength would have never happened. If I was president, there would not have been a war with Russia in Ukraine. 0 chance, and Lindsey would be happy with that. That's better than any alternative. Wouldn't have happened. And I will say this, even now, despite tremendous loss of lives and destruction of much of that country, I would have a peace deal negotiated within 24 hours. You could make a peace deal, you could make a deal for both right now, 24 hours. That deal could be done. That deal is waiting to be done, but there's nobody to do it. To protect Americans from the threat of hypersonic missiles and nuclear weapons, I will build state-of-the-art, next-generation missile defense shields.
When you look at what's going on now with the word nuclear, it's being thrown about every day. Every hour you hear nuclear, nuclear. You didn't hear that at all for 4 years when I was there. You don't discuss that word. That word is a bad word. A bad word, Mark, because the power is so unbelievable. This isn't a world war. This is the end of the world. I don't call it World War III. I call it the end of the world. And we have people that have no idea what they're talking about or what they're doing. I look at now what's happening with Russia and the United States. They just grabbed a reporter, which is unheard of. They're holding now a reporter. I guess that hasn't happened in many decades. What's going on? We are at, in my opinion, because of the power of weaponry, mostly nuclear, but other things also, we are in the most dangerous position we've ever been in as a nation right now. And we have a leader that just doesn't know what's going on. He just doesn't know what's going on. And we want to be nice about it. Everybody wants to be nice about it. But the world is at balance, and this country might not exist. I mean, we may not exist anymore because we're talking about power of weapons that is so unbelievable. I know better than anybody because I got to see it. And we have people that don't understand that, and they talk tough when they should be nice, and they talk nice when they should be tough. I mean, it's the opposite. Everything you see they say is just wrong. And it's a very scary time for this country. What's happening is horrible. When you see rockets going into apartment buildings, and there are plenty of people in those buildings, they think they're like the people who moved out. They didn't move. They want to stay because they think they're safe in their apartments. Far more people are dead than you think. When I see all the death and all that destruction, and it's such a stupid war because you had a country that was working, had problems, lots of problems, but other countries have problems too. It was such a horrible waste to be doing it. You see swings outside, you see playgrounds, you see hospitals. It was a country. And the people were happy. I guess a lot of them were happy because they're certainly fighting for it.
Crime statistics, if you look in Democrat-run cities, numbers the likes of which we have never seen before. The open threats by various countries of the use of nuclear weapons, something never mentioned or discussed by outside nations during the Trump administration, and which could very well lead under the Biden administration's leadership to an all-out nuclear World War III can happen. We're not very far away from it, believe it or not. An economy that has been crippled by the biggest inflation we have seen in more than 60 years, and a military that I used to defeat ISIS
In 4 weeks, they said it would take 4 years. 4 weeks to kill al-Baghdadi and Soleimani, that has now gone woke at the top levels by trying to indoctrinate everyone down to the lowest ranking patriot. But now they have really stepped up their efforts by indicting the 45th President of the United States.
Yesterday, reporters asked me if I thought President Putin was smart. I said, of course he's smart, to which I was greeted with, oh, that's such a terrible thing to say. I'd like to tell the truth. Yes, he's smart. The NATO nations, and indeed the world, as he looks over what's happening strategically with no repercussions or threats whatsoever, they're not so smart. They're looking the opposite of smart. If you take over Ukraine, we're going to sanction you, they say. Sanction? Well, that's a pretty weak statement. Putin is saying, oh, they're going to sanction me. They sanctioned me for the last 25 years. You mean I can take over a whole country and they're going to sanction me? You mean they're not going to blow us to pieces, at least psychologically? The problem is not that Putin is smart, which of course he's smart, but the real problem is that our leaders are dumb. Dumb. So dumb. And they so far allowed him to get away with this travesty and assault on humanity. That's what it is. This is an assault on humanity. So sad. This isn't so good. This is a tremendous problem. Thousands and thousands of tons of garbage comes to us. So Obama's talking about all of this with the global warming and that, and a lot of it's a hoax. It's a hoax. I mean, it's a money-making industry, okay? And I think we can have success. We have to have energy. You know, energy is a thing that caused inflation. When they closed up the energy, the cost of energy, the cost of a tank of gasoline, it went up to $5, $6, $7, $8 in some places. And it's still very high. If we had the best year in the history of our country for 100 years, we would not even come close to a number like that. When he says buildings, they want to take buildings down because they want to make bigger windows into smaller windows. As far as they're concerned, if you had no window, it would be a lovely thing. This is the craziest plan that anybody has ever seen. So we have the Trillion Trees program. We have so many different programs. I do love the environment, but what I want is the cleanest, crystal clear water, the cleanest air. We have the best, lowest number in carbon emissions, which is a big standard that I notice Obama goes with all the time. For years, politicians told Americans that a strong economy and a vibrant energy sector were incompatible with a healthy environment. In other words, one thing doesn't go with the other, and that's wrong because we're proving the exact opposite. A strong economy is vital to maintaining a healthy environment. At the same time, it's very important to me, we have to maintain this incredible place that we've all built. We've become a much richer country, and that's a good thing, not a bad thing, because that great wealth allows us to take care of people. We can take care of people that we couldn't have taken care of in the past because of the great wealth. We can't let that wealth be taken away. We certainly contribute. I mean, there's certain pollutants that go up, and there are certain things that happen, certain things we do that if we weren't here, certainly...
They say the overwhelming cause for the last 50 years.
Well, I don't necessarily agree.
But it doesn't seem like in the report that there's that much of a may to it. Like, it's your government, right? It's your scientists. They work for you. It's your company.
That's okay. That's okay. And I want everybody to report whatever they want. But ultimately, I'm the one that makes that final decision. I can also give you reports where people very much dispute that. You know, you do have scientists that very much dispute it. I want to make sure that we have the cleanest air.
But there really aren't. About that one, there really aren't that many scientists.
But Jim, I want to make sure, here's what I want. So you have different views on this, and is there climate change? Yeah. Will it go back like this? I mean, will it change back? Probably, that's what I think. I believe it goes this way, and I believe, yes, man, meaning us people, man and women, to be politically correct, but because everyone says man, but now we have to add women to that one too. Man and women, we do have an impact, but I don't believe the impact is nearly what some say, and other scientists that dispute those findings very strongly. I want crystal clean water and air. I want beautiful, clean air. We have now the lowest carbon. If you look at our numbers right now, we are doing phenomenally. But I haven't destroyed our businesses. Our businesses aren't put out of commission. If you look at the Paris Accord, it was a disaster from our standpoint. And people are actually very happy about what's going on because our businesses are doing well. As far as the fires are concerned, you need forest management in addition to everything else. The forest floors are loaded up with trees, dead trees that are years old, and they're like tinder, and leaves and everything else. You drop a cigarette in there, the whole forest burns down. You've got to have forest management. You've got to have cuts.
What do you believe about the science of climate change, sir?
I believe that we have to do everything we can to have immaculate air, immaculate water, and do whatever else we can that's good. You know, we're planting 1 billion trees, the Billion Tree Project, and it's very exciting for a lot of people.
You believe that human pollution, greenhouse gas emissions contributes to the global warming of this planet?
I think a lot of things do, but I think to an extent, yes. But I also think we have to do better management of our forests. Every year, I get the call, California's burning. California's burning. If that was cleaned, if you had forest management, good forest management, you wouldn't be getting those calls. You know, in Europe, they have forest cities. They're called forest cities. They maintain their forests. They manage their forests. I was with the head of a major country. It's a forest city. He said, sir, we have trees that are far more, they ignite much easier than California. There shouldn't be that problem. I spoke with the governor about it. I'm getting along very well with the governor. But I said, you know, at some point, you can't every year have hundreds of thousands of acres of land just burned to the ground. What's happening is the car is much less expensive and it's a much safer car, and you're talking about a tiny difference. And then what would happen, because of the cost of the car, you would have at least double and triple the number of cars purchased. We have the old slugs out there that are 10, 12 years old. If you did that, the car would be safer. It would be much cheaper by $3,500.
In the case of California, they've simply ignored.
No, but you would take a lot of cars off the market because people would be able to afford a car. Now, and by the way, we're going to see how that turns out. But a lot of people agree with me, many people. The car has gotten so expensive because they have computers all over the place for an extra little bit of gasoline. And I'm okay with electric cars, too. I think I'm all for electric cars. I've given big incentives for electric cars. But what they've done in California is just crazy. As the cabinet secretaries will tell you, from the very beginning, I've given them clear direction to focus on addressing environmental challenges so we can provide the highest quality of life to all Americans. In addition to clean air and clean water, that means being good stewards of our public lands, prioritizing cleanup of polluted lands that threaten our most vulnerable citizens and threaten them very dearly, and implementing pro-growth policies to unlock innovation and new technologies which improve American life and America's environment. So important. These are incredible goals that everyone in this country should be able to rally behind, and they have rallied behind, and they've rallied behind in a very Republican and Democrat way. I really think that's something that is bipartisan. When we innovate, produce, and grow, we're able to unleash technologies and processes that make the environment better while reshoring. And so importantly, you look at reshoring production all the way, taking it away from foreign polluters and back to American soil. The previous administration waged a relentless war on American energy. We can't do that. They sought to punish our workers, our producers, and manufacturers with ineffective global agreements that allowed the world's worst polluting countries to continue their practices.
These radical plans would not make the world cleaner. They would just make and put Americans out of work, and they put them out of work rapidly. They moved production to foreign countries with lower standards. Our companies were forced to do that, and they didn't want to do that. And they drive up the price of gas and electricity at home and drive it to levels that are literally unaffordable. And by the way, that's happening to many other countries, but it's not happening here. Other countries, their pricing on electricity is so high, not even to be affordable. At our level, we are doing numbers that nobody's seen before. Nobody believes what we're doing and what we're producing electricity and other things for. Punishing Americans is never the right way to produce a better environment or a better economy. We've rejected this failed approach, and we're seeing incredible results. Since the election, we have created more than 6 million new jobs. Nobody would have believed that. I don't think anybody, if I would have said that during the campaign, it wouldn't have been a pretty picture the next day as I read the headlines. 6 million new jobs. Unemployment has reached the lowest rate in a half a century. And we have more people working today than have ever worked in the history of our country. We're getting very close to 160 million people, which is unthinkable. If you go back 3 years and you said 160 million people, they would say unthinkable. We're unlocking American energy, and the United States is now a net exporter of clean, affordable American natural gas. We're exporting all over the world. We are on the threshold of virtually unlimited reserves of energy, including from traditional fuels, LNG, clean coal, next generation nuclear power, and gas hydrate technologies. At the same time, I'm proud to report the United States is among the cleanest air and drinking water on earth, and we're going to keep it that way. And we just came out with a report that at this moment, it's the cleanest it's been in the last 40 years. We're committed to conserving the majesty of God's creation and the natural beauty of our world. Today, I'm pleased to announce the United States will join 1 Trillion Trees initiative being launched here at the World Economic Forum. 1 trillion trees. This is not a time for pessimism. This is a time for optimism. Fear and doubt is not a good thought process, because this is a time for tremendous hope and joy and optimism and action. But to embrace the possibilities of tomorrow, we must reject the perennial prophets of doom and their predictions of the apocalypse. And they say you can't put the blades underground because it would be very bad. It's a type of fiber, and you can't bury it because it'll be bad for the environment if you bury it. So what are you going to do with it? Throw it up in the air? You look at certain areas around Coachella, you look at some of those areas where you have those abandoned wind farms, they look like junkyards. And remember, those windmills, many of them are very bad looking to start off. Some have a better design, but they start to rust, they start to rot. And in a certain number of years, they get abandoned. And they say, let's go to another location. No, it's like, it's a very, very expensive form of energy. And solar's not powerful enough. If you look at solar, but it's just not big enough. And here we're sitting on the greatest amount of liquid gold, oil and gas, anywhere in the world. And we have it. And we're going to Venezuela now to get it. We're going all over and we have it. We're sitting on it. And now they want to make all electric cars where the batteries are made exclusively by minerals and other things that are in China and other places that China, like the Congo, that China sort of controls, okay? And almost nothing comes out of the United States. It's almost as if they truly hate our country. Look, they're not stupid because they shoot on elections so well they can't be stupid. I really believe they must hate our country. Who wants an open border where people from mental institutions are being dumped into the U.S., where people from prisons, where entire prison populations of countries are being, and I'd do the same thing if I was the president of
a South American, or not only South American, they're coming from all over the world. We have leadership that doesn't understand that this is something that can happen. We have leadership that doesn't hear other people when they talk about it. And they don't get it. We have incompetent leaders. This would never happen. All of the things that we have, you wouldn't have inflation because energy, we had energy, very inexpensive energy. We had energy independence, soon to have energy dominance. We would have been selling to Europe. We would have been selling all over the world. We were bigger. When I left, we were #1 in the world at energy. Natural gas, oil and natural gas. We were filling up the strategic reserves. Biden took the strategic reserves that I was filling up and he emptied them out now to the lowest point. Those reserves are meant for war, not to get people's gasoline prices down so they look good in an election. But he did that. And now so many things have been wrong. Even we mentioned before the supply chain. Who ever heard of a supply chain problem? You order something and you get it. Now you order something and they tell you you won't have it for years. And we have the best carbon emission numbers that we've had in 35 years under this administration. We are working so well with industry, but here's what we can't do. Look at China, how filthy it is. Look at Russia. Look at India. It's filthy. The air is filthy. The Paris Accord, I took us out because we were going to have to spend trillions of dollars and we were treated very unfairly. When they put us in there, they did us a great disservice. They were going to take away our businesses. I will not sacrifice tens of millions of jobs, thousands and thousands of companies because of the Paris Accord. It was so unfair. China doesn't kick in until 2030. Russia goes back to a low standard, and we kicked in right away. It would have destroyed our businesses. So, you ready? We have done an incredible job environmentally. We have the cleanest air, the cleanest water, and the best carbon emission standards that we've seen in many, many years.